was sitting there and it was like very quiet. Everyone else was walking around the room and there's a stack of books on the table. Everyone's like, yeah, we remember that stack when we went through the bookstore. A lot of money, and I sat down. I like to sit in the center, client kind of close. I don't like distractions, so he walks in, walks up to the podium, stands there. Ladies and gentlemen, he does his little intro speech, and I loved Dr. Bakken so much for this. I'm a substitute teacher, and I'm working my way up the food chain. And he's one of the professors that made the biggest influence on me. In this, I describe him as stalking the classroom. He would walk around, and he'd lean in close, and he'd say, I remember one time he was talking about American military history. One of my students asked me, Dr. Bakken, what was your favorite weapon? I said, K-bar 19. Yes. You say, but sir, that's a knife. I know, I like to get in close. Angela and I used to go to church together years ago. That's when I had hair. That was a long time ago. And I bumped into her somewhere, and I told her, I said, your father is my favorite character on campus. And she starts laughing. She goes, that's a great way to describe my father. Yeah. I lost a brother. Final day of classes, 2005. I got home, I was going to sit down and study and get ready for the final. That was it for me. Christmas is a bad time to lose someone. Any time's a bad time, but it's difficult. I found out after I got back from Christmas vacation visiting friends, and that Dr. Bakken was gone. It's ironic. I reached out to Doc Wheatville, another man who's made a tremendous impact on who I am, my style in the classroom. And I said, Doc, I'd love to get together for a cup of coffee. We have to have that cup of coffee. But it's weird that just as I was leaving to visit my friend in Arizona, I was thinking, I got to get together with Dr. Bakken. Doc, we need to have that cup of coffee. What a blessing to know. Dr. Bakken. Thank you.
I represent the contingent of youth that were coached by Gordon Bakken in soccer, and I felt compelled to come up here and represent that group of folks. Angela and I played soccer for many years as young girls, and I was fortunate to get back together with her about 5 years ago as part of our old ladies soccer team. But just in thinking about my own experience playing soccer and having your dad as a coach and having my own children now and understanding what it means to have a quality, giving, caring coach, I reflect back on Gordon as someone who taught us girls, especially girls, how to be good teammates, even though we all came from different areas of school where we had cliques and loyalties. Learn to play the game along with him. Learn how to respect each other, and then finally just learn how to have fun. So I got to take that experience for granted as a young person, and I just wanted to say thank you for sharing him with us in that role as well. I feel very fortunate that I had him as a coach.
My name is John Stanley, and I'm a lieutenant with the Sheriff's Department. Los Angeles County. One of the reasons why I'm a lieutenant at the Sheriff's Department is because of my friend and mentor, Gordon Bakken. I had left the Sheriff's Department to go back to graduate school. It started graduate school, got away from it. Every time I drove past the house, I'd put my hand over my eyes. Away from it, I had to get back to it. So I went back to graduate school, was one of Gordon's graduate assistants. Many of you probably don't know that there was no depression in North Dakota. I know that because I helped him research a book that nobody wanted to publish, proving that there was no depression in North Dakota. But one of the things that we so enjoyed as a student of his was, again, learning about the soccer exploits of young Erica here, because one of the things no one's talked about is what we used to refer to as the famous Bakken digressions. And we used to sort of almost time them, how long he would go before he would leave whatever it was that he was teaching. And pretty much the rest of the time was spent learning about soccer and his time coaching or refereeing or whatever it was. So up to that point, the lectures were phenomenal. It was fantastic. He was a great professor. But beyond that, it became about the Bakken digressions. So that was wonderful. But in addition to, sometimes you have someone in your life who is a great mentor. But Gordon also became a great friend in the subsequent years. After I graduated, he was very, very close. And as other people have alluded to, he used to reach out to past graduate students and ask them to write for him. Over 50 articles later, not all for Gordon, but I have done a little bit of writing. Many of those articles appeared in some of his books. There are a lot of things in existence today through myself and other students that are a direct result of Gordon Bakken. I'm currently the chairman of the Los Angeles County Museum Committee. I'm also the chairman of the Los Angeles County Peace Officers Memorial Committee, which did not exist until I went in and persuaded one of our sheriffs it would be a good idea if we did that. There's a Facebook page, which I posted an acknowledgement to my friend and mentor on not that long ago. But there's a lot of history that's being written in the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department that I attribute to my friend and my mentor, Gordon Bakken. He was a very passionate guy. We would get together, my wife Danette, my sister Joanne, my brother-in-law Hal, who's also a student of his, also had the pleasure of renting from Gordon, joining in our quarterly get-togethers for dinner and a drink or two. And it just was an honor to have him as part of our life, and he will always be part of my life. I said, as a couple others mentioned, there's only 2 or 3 mentors that I've had in my life, and Gordon is certainly one of those. And his legacy will live on in us, in his students and in his friends. And then so many of us have become teachers. One of these Gordon said to me, because the reason, again, I am a lieutenant on the Sheriff's Department now and not teaching, is I was contemplating going back to the Sheriff's Department or whether I should go into teaching and try to get into a PhD program. And John, he looked at me and only what Gordon can do it, and he said, "John, go for the money." He's not having public education. So I returned to the Sheriff's Department where, yes, we have a very nice retirement. Thank you very much. We'll enjoy that in a couple of years, continuing to write and remember my good friend and mentor.
So my name is Lynn Sargent. I'm currently in the Dean's office, but I'm actually a member of the History Department. And like a lot of the current members of the History Department, my earliest experiences of Cal State Fullerton were actually encounters with Gordon. In particular, on that fateful day when I actually made it to campus for the campus interview. And we have this departmental ritual where we have a breakfast meeting. And at that time, under Bill Haddad's leadership, we still had to share the coffee and the donuts. We're a little bit more upscale now. But one part of that ritual was sitting down with members of the department, and Gordon has always been one of the mainstays of that process. And I always figured that I got the job because when he started talking about deer hunting and hanging up the buck in the garage and skinning it, I actually was able to keep up with him because I'm in North Dakota. And one of the things I've always had treasured about Gordon was the ability to connect to him on so many levels, both an intellectual level, but also a very real personal level. He was interested in who people were, whether they were his colleagues or his students, on a genuine personal level. And as a junior faculty member in the department, I still to this day treasure his mentorship and his support in ways that a lot of people don't know about. He didn't make a big deal about his generosity to junior faculty, his generosity to the university, but it really showed me personally what it meant to be a member of the university community, not just a member of the department. One of the reasons I wanted to share this story is just this week, the department started searching for new faculty members, and we had a breakfast meeting, the first of 5. And for me personally, it was a very hard moment because Gordon wasn't there, and he won't be there for the rest of them, and it's a big hole.
I actually wasn't going to speak today because I don't completely trust my emotions. I met Gordon when I first transferred here back in the 80s. He wasn't the first professor I studied under here, but he was, I think, the second. And I believe it was also History 180. And I didn't really know what I was going to study. I transferred in, and I got hooked. I took all of his classes. I was the historian for the Phi Alpha Theta History Society. How ironic is that? And then I went on to law school and started chasing ambulances and such. And after doing that for about 15 years or so, I decided I really missed history. And I contacted Gordon, and we went to lunch just over at the Hayden Inn. And he said, well, Richard, sure, you can come back. You know, you just got to get your master's and get your PhD, and it'll be fine. and so I applied back here to Fullerton for my master's. And I studied with Gordon. He was the one who told me what my master's thesis should be. It was on Gladys Root, who was a lawyer in Los Angeles in the 30s. Didn't turn it into a book, but it did get published in California Legal History. And then I went to Riverside for my PhD. And it was the interview to get in there was, oh, you studied under Gordon? Okay, great. Welcome. And, you know, I'm teaching now at Riverside part-time because you've got to go for the money. And I'm afraid that's at the courthouse, not at the university. But I didn't really realize until just today how much he influenced with my teaching style. With a list of books like that, and you know, digressions in the lectures, and so on. You know, it was Da Vinci who said, a poor student does not surpass his master. And I'm afraid we're all poor students, myself especially, because we won't surpass Gordon.
I was an undergrad in 1983, and Grapevine quickly passed the news that there was one professor you had to absolutely avoid. It was Gordon Bakken, which I did, and later regretted. So when I came back to school here in 1997, and Dave Vandevetter said, no, you have to work with Gordon Bakken, I trembled for a few minutes, and then went ahead and had the greatest experience of my life in the academic setting. One thing I want to say about the Marriott things is the Maker's Mark and the Booker's was good, but I don't know if anybody can top the seminar we had where a student had come back from Poland and brought a bottle of vodka that had no label. Which usually means you're going to have a great time or the worst time of your life. Maybe both at the same time. It's fantastic. And to be given opportunities to speak and present papers and drink at Galveston, New Orleans, Maui. Maui's fantastic too. That's a testament to somebody who gives of their time to provide opportunities to you to develop yourself as a historian. I work at a historic site called the Workman Temple Family Homestead Museum up in the San Gabriel Valley, and tomorrow we are starting a series called Curious Cases that was proposed by a friend of mine who works at the museum, based on the work that I did with Gordon on early legal history in Los Angeles, lynchings and popular justice and things that he would love to get into great detail about viscerally. And we're doing 4 of these this year, and it's an interactive program, and that was another suggestion from another colleague. And it just struck me that that's something that I think Gordon would just be really pleased with. The idea that when people sit down and look at primary source material from these cases and talk about it in almost a seminar type setting. So it's not just me expounding, which I'll do to some extent, but to have people have an opportunity to look at the stuff and talk about it in a public museum setting. It was a fantastic idea. I wish I had come up with the idea myself, but we're going to honor Gordon by having the series in his memory. So I just wanted to bring that up because it's another example of many that we've heard of how his influence and mentoring will continue on. And I hope we can do more of those types of events in the future and keep that memory of Gordon Bakken alive.
I was lucky enough to be a graduate Gordon assistant when I was working on my master's here. I wanted to get up here and represent the women that Gordon had. They used to refer to us as his bevy of beauties, and I take that as a great compliment to this day. He was very influential in my career. And then when I chose not to pursue my PhD at Case Western, he was still very, very happy for me. And when I chose to become a stay-at-home mom, he was, again, very happy for me and helped me, gave me writing assignments. When I was looking, my husband and I at the time were looking for a church. He invited us to his church, and Erica and Gordon would take us out for breakfast afterwards, and we would go to Gordon's Sunday school class where we did Dante's Inferno. Not your typical run-of-the-mill he was just a great man. He came to my children's christenings. He was always so happy to hear about my children. My children are roughly the same ages as Angela's children, and he was just a good friend over the years and a mentor, and his mind, nobody has the recall that he had, and I'm just so very happy to have been one of Gordon's students, and I'm so pleased to see some of my other wonderful professors here. And one of the things when we would go on conferences and the other students from USC and UCLA, yeah, they had the big name, but you know what? We had the professors who cared, and they were jealous of us. So thank you to the faculty, because you were all amazing, and I really appreciate that. And thanks to Gordon for just everything.
Hi, I'm Martin Carbone, and I wasn't going to say anything, I'll be fast, but most of what's been said about Gordy has been about his scholarship, his teaching, his hunting, his family life. He was also a superb administrator within the university, highly respected by vice presidents, presidents. It was real nice because, as the tribute says, he was the liaison of the campus to the Office of General Counsel. It used to take us 2 or 3 weeks to get a reply from them about anything, but it was nice. I was in McCarthy Hall at the time. Gordy was down in Faculty Affairs and Records. You could walk down there, pop your head into Gordy, and in 2 minutes you had an answer that was right, correct, defensible. So he was a great administrator as well as a teacher. And I think I benefited in my life from Gordy, just as so many have. He was he functioned as risk manager at the university, among many other legal things. And he got me appointed actually as risk manager under Frank Marini. And that took me in a slightly different path. But anyway, he was wonderful. Thank you. He was wonderful.
Hello, my name is Monica Robledo, and I'm also a graduate student. Was with Dr. Bakken for 5 years. I really enjoyed his classes, and I have to say there's no replacement for Dr. Bakken. And you can hire whoever you want. And I feel so happy and so blessed that I had this opportunity to have this man as a professor. He impacted me very much. He is reliable, dependable, all the ables that you can think of. This Dr. Bakken, there is no replacement for him. He's a great man. He's generous. He's the only one in my life that when I called on his office, he always would pick up the phone. In an emergency, like you said, someone had said over here, I think it was you, he said, you called him, he picks up that phone. How reliable can you be? He doesn't get paid. Sometimes you might even call him and it's not even an office hour. And he's there to pick up the phone. If someone at the point of their lives and they were very depressed or sad, he's there to pick up the phone for that person, and he's there to talk to you. And really giving, passionate man, in the whole sense of the word. I love him dearly. I'm going to miss him. I didn't have the opportunity to have him in my thesis committee because he was very ill. But I said, Dr. Bakken, please attend my defense. And everyone around, Dr. Newfield is here, he's there, and the chair of my committee. And I remember everybody was shocked. Like, what is he doing here? He's not part of your committee. But he was there as a sign of support. He had no business being there, but I invited him there, I invited him there, and he was there. Did he need to be there? No. But that's how supportive he was. And in the encouragement that he provided me, and he wrote a beautiful letter of recommendation so I could submit to USC, UCR for my PhD. Angela, his wife, Barbara, his wife, actually forwarded that on his behalf, even though he already passed away. So I just have to say thank you so much to Dr. Bakken. He was like father, mentor, advisor, everything to me. And I really am so grateful to have this opportunity to tell State Fullerton and everyone here, all of you professors here. Thank you.
My name is Peter Rich. I'm a law professor at Whittier Law School. I teach environmental law, water law, some things that had a lot in common with Gordon. And Gordon and I knew each other in a number of contexts at the Huntington Library. We were on the State Bar Committee together. We were on the committee for the preservation of court records. And I was going to say something about Gordon's role taking academia into the real world.
And you know, a lot of people look at academics and they say, we're just very narrow, we're very pointy-headed, we have no effect on anything. One of the things that was great about Gordon is that he would be on committees like this and he would talk about, well, how academia and politics and the rest of the world should interact. And so, particularly on the Committee to Preserve Court Records, in California we have all these Court of Appeal records that the state was and is in the process of destroying, simply because they take up too much space. And Gordon was a tireless advocate for preserving these records. Why? Because when you see what's in the court file, you know whether the judges, in their published opinion, did a good job. And he always said, against whatever the judges said, didn't want to be checked up on, said, you judges, you're put in there by the people, you have to be checked up on. Gordon was also a great person to have drinks with, as a number of people have said. And I still actually have one of those $2 bill that he put in, he threw in to make change at one point. And so I'll always miss you, Gordon, as a colleague, as a friend, and a person who made, sort of made me feel that as an academic I was not isolated from life, but that I was part of life. So, so thank you very much, Gordon.
Are you running out of time? No. Okay. I didn't really intend to speak here, but I thought we've heard so much great stuff about Gordon, which I'm not here to try to refute or anything. I'm simply amazed at how much I didn't know about the man. I'm sorry that I missed so much. Academics are all tend to be in their little cocoons, and you miss a lot about your colleagues. I remember Gordon before he got here in the summer of 1969. I came across an article in a Western history publication called Arizona in the West, and there was an article in there about English common law and its effect on Western legal institutions. And then I learned that we had just hired this guy out of Wisconsin from graduate school. And I was quite happy about that because it was a very insightful article. And when I met him, I told him so. And he was very appreciative of that. And he knew some stuff that I published. So it's kind of a mutual admiration society there. And he said, well, let's okay, you gotta see how much we're going to get done here. I'll paraphrase by saying, I got a very little done, but he got a hell of a lot for months there. The following year I got my first book published, and before Gordon got a book in print. I am like, take pleasure in saying that, because after that Gordon was off like a shot, as you all heard. It reminded me of, in trying to discuss Gordon's career, thinking of the statement by Mark Twain in the famous book Roughing It. He's trying to describe a Pony Express rider who came in sight and was gone, and said, the only thing I can say about this is it was a flash and a vanish. And I really think that's Gordon too, a flash and a vanish, because he went on to keep on publishing man, and all of the testimonials that I've heard here today really tells me a tremendous amount that I'm sorry that I didn't know what an ace he was in so many other fields. I also have some input at some earlier testimony, since I hail from North Dakota also, and I'm here to tell you there sure as hell was a depression. During the Depression, but I remember it very well. Where Gordon made his mistake, I told him this, that the Depression that he's talking about that didn't exist was confined to the eastern 1/3 of the state of North Dakota, the fertile Red River Valley, which didn't get done in by the drought that also accompanied the depression. The rest of the state was in terrible, terrible conditions because of the two blows of the drought and the depression. I told Gordy that, and he said, "Well, I should have mentioned that, but I've already got the book." And he gave me a copy, and I found a couple of mistakes. Some of his footnotes were out of place. I've read a lot of Gordy's stuff in manuscript too, and I wasn't a bit bashful about correcting mistakes he made, and said that I didn't see any serious slip-ups in that article you wrote. He said, I had somebody go over that too before I got it in print. That's what I'm using you for. I also shot a couple of deer and skinned them back in North Dakota, and the last one I did, it was out of season. I broke the law. I never told Gordy about this. That was 50 years ago in 1964, so I hope the statute of limitations. But as a colleague, I just want to say that I was always aware of how a productive scholar Gordon was, but I didn't know a lot of the things that students have enlightened me about what a real great person he was. Thank you all for letting me know about him.
Okay, if no one else wants to come up, we have a reception outside, and we would love you to continue sharing all of your memories with the reception.
I just wanted to add one thing to that. Someone had posted on Dad's Facebook page that they thought it would be a really good idea to maybe after this reception head over to the Marriott for one last review session and maybe a shot of Booker. And my brother and I in December happened to wander over there to kind of give him a heads up that maybe there would be a group coming over, and she says, oh, well, you know, the whole bar and restaurant area is going to be under remodel. And I thought, oh, that's a shame. I said, well, let me leave you my name and email, and you know, and she said, well, I'll let you know. She called me yesterday. They postponed the renovation for 1 week.
Yeah, I